What's going on, guys? BossUp86 here, back to another video, and today I'm here to do my At the Gates retrospective of the Metal Month. This took me a little bit longer than I thought it was going to because, well, to be honest, I was kind of slacking on it. It's not because I don't hate this band. I actually really like this band. It's just that some days my procrastination gets the better of me. So, with that being said, let's jump right on into the melodic death metal adventures of At the Gates. Now, this band formed in Gothenburg, Sweden in 1990 after breaking up the black and death metal band Grotesque, with Thomas Lindberg on vocals, Adrian Erlandson on drums, Bjorn Menker on bass, Anders Boiler on guitar, and Alf Svensson, yes, pencil. He would be on rhythm guitar, and Anders would be on lead guitar. Now, Born would be replaced by Anders' brother Jonas on bass, who was on drums for a little bit during this time. They recorded the Gardens of Grief EP in 1981 on Dolores Recordings. So after signing with Peaceful Records, they recorded their debut album on July 27th, 1992, The Red in the Sky Is Ours. Out of all of their albums, which is 7, this is my least favorite. This is my number 7. It's not that it's a bad album. I'm just going to clarify this right here, right now. Kind of like with Immortal, this band does not have a flat-out bad album. Just to me, it's the least inspired. And it's not because the songs here are bad. It's because it's the first album. The first album is normally not going to be the best album of the band's entire career. Well, to an extent, there are some examples. But this is where it's more thrash-oriented, and it's very raw. There's a lot of energy on this album, I will say. But the songwriting wasn't there, but then again, they were kind of getting their foot in the door in terms of laying down some good killer music. The title track / Season to Come is really cool. And this is more experimentational because it does have some folky elements, which is kind of good, but it kind of takes away from the album a little bit. Kingdom Gone, Within, Night Comes, Blood Black, Neverwhere, Claws of Laughter Dead. Some good songs, just then again, it's the least inspiring. But then again, it has an excuse as to being the first album. So, because they're at the gates, they tore their asses off, and a year later, on May 7th, 1983, to record the follow-up with Fear, I Kiss the Burning Darkness. I don't know what that was for. This is a little bit better. This is my number 6. I think this is it's a lot better than the debut album. Still raw, but it still has, the songwriting chops are a little bit better. This, I feel like, kind of experiments with some black metal in terms of kind of the song structure and kind of the guitar tone as well. Beyond the Good Evil, Primal Breath, Raped by the Light of Christ, The Break of Autumn, Ever Opening Flowers, pretty cool. Architects is a pretty structured song with all shapes and sizes. This is a good album. But then again, like, it's one of the better sophomore albums that I ever heard. It's not like top 10 best sophomore albums of all time. It's just a better progression as their sound. So, after With Fear, I Kiss the Burning Darkness, Alf left in 93 to become a tattoo artist, graphic novel illustration, and his electronic black metal, electronic opera black metal project, Oxypligates. I think that's how you say it. His replacement is former House of Usher guitarist Martin Larson, who the band knew from underground tape trading. They toured in Europe and were filmed in the Headbangers Ball special in England of July of 93. For this next album, they acquired Fredrik Nordstrom, who would become the king of the Gothenburg sound. He's worked from every, melodic death metal band under Yellow Sun, like In Flames, Tranquility, Soilwork, Dream Evil, Hammerfall, and even Opeth, and Arch Enemy. So this guy really, really, really knows his craft. So their third outing, July 28th, 1994, Terminal Spirit Disease. This is my number 4. I think when they got the melodic death metal sound, this would be a precursor as to the next album. And don't worry, I'll get to that there in a little bit. But I think from top to bottom, this is a damn near perfect album. The only complaints I have is, one, the double kick kind of gets annoying at some points. Like you can clearly hear the drummer going to town on a thing like it owns him money. That they kind of fixed it on the next album. The big problem I have is the first half, really, really, really good. I really love the first half. Second half is all live album. It's like all live songs. That kind of bothers me. I feel like they should have just put it like a live compilation album and you just left it there. But no, there's like 4 or 5 songs that are all live recordings. So that really drags the album down for me. But with that being said, there's some killer songs like Beautiful Womb, Forever Blind's a bitchin' song, The Swarm, the title track's cool. The beautiful, beautiful, beautiful instrumentation of In the World Return. It's so pretty. It's very, very imaginative in some ways in terms of not only with the it kind of sounds like a I guess you could say like a romantic soundtrack in some ways, but it's very pretty. Very, very, very pretty. Overall, Terminal Spirit Disease, really killer album. So, again, these guys are at the gates and they tore their asses off. Toured into 1995. And then eventually they would switch to Earache Records for the one and only album on Earache Records. November 14th, 1995. I'm just going to say it right now. This is my number 1. Slaughter of the Soul. What else needs to say about one of the best metal albums, not only of 1995, but of the 90s, period. This, and along with Carcass's Heartwork, I think is tied for the best melodic death metal album ever. You can throw your In Flames Jester Race, or Arch Enemy, Wages of Sin, or Soilworks, Predator's Portrait. This is melodic death metal mastery right here. From everything from Blinded by Fear, the title track Under a Serpent's Sun, Suicide Nation, Into the Dead Sky, Cold is a very big standout. But you also have some deeper tracks like Need, Unto Others, Nausea, and World of Lies. Literally everything on this album, including the last track, The Flames to the End, what kind of sounds like a video game song, if I can be brutally honest. But this album, I think, is melodic death metal mastery. What else do I need to say that hasn't already been said about this beautiful album? And if you guys do have a copy of it, play it until that son of a bitch burns out. Awesome album. So this was their most commercial and their most successful album. Music videos playing around the world in America on MTV when MTV actually gave a fuck about music. Despite the success, though, the Boilers would eventually leave in '96. And the band decided to break up due to it would be impossible to continue without it. Further proving that the 90s sucked ass. But after the breakup, Adrian and the Boilers formed The Haunted, which is another melodic death metal group, but it has more thrash-oriented stuff. So kind of melodic death thrash, if you want to call it that. Meanwhile, Tomas worked on other bands like Skid System, The Crown, Lockup, and Night Rage. Erlandson left in 1999 to join Cradle of Filth. And in 2001, Peaceful released the Suicidal Final Art compilation. Then 6 years later, in October of 2007, the band announced several reunion shows from Mid-08 and even some shows in Japan with Pig Destroyer, Mayhem, Into Eternity, and the Dillinger Escape Plan in May of 2008. Through July, the Suicidal Final Tour in the United States and Canada, and they would do their final UK show at Bloodstock Open Air on August 17. So they did their last show. Their last show was in Athens, Greece, with the Ocean on September 21st. They performed at Wacken Open Air, which was available on the Flames of the End DVD box set. And then that's when the comeback came back. There's been some rumors going around, and eventually the rumors were confirmed. January 14, 2014, the band released a video with cryptic messages indicating that a new album is coming out. And announcing on Facebook they signed with Century Media Records. And this album is going to be a concept album about magic realism. That'll lead us into the comeback. October 24th, 2014, At War with Reality. This is my number 3. Holy shit, this is an awesome album. I think after being gone for 19 years, they did not miss a step on this album. Because this album from top to bottom is good old classic Slaughter of the Soul, Terminal Spirit Disease era at the gates. From the opening of Death in the Labyrinth, this album just has some killer songs. When I was getting into the first half, the first 2 tracks, or the first couple tracks were good, but then it started to taper off a little bit. And then that second hit like a fucking howitzer, and this album got better and better for me. The title track, Conspiracy of the Blind, is, it's a killer song. Order from Chaos, Book of Sand, Head of Hydra, Eater of Gods, City of Mirrors is a really cool instrumental, and the Night Eternal. It's not my second favorite. That will come on here in a little bit, but this is a killer comeback album. But in my opinion, there's one that's a little bit better. But again, I'll get to that here in a little bit. So, what more do I have to say about this? This is an awesome comeback album. And it's my number 3. So, with that being said, 3 years later, on March 8th, 2017, the band announced that Anders would eventually leave. Despite this, they continued with the follow-up and were aiming to record and release around 2018. In September, Jonas Stahlhammer would be the new guitarist on a permanent basis. Then it will lead us into May 18th, 2018 to Drink from the Night itself. This is my number 5. It's not that it's a bad album. The complaints I have with this album are as follows. Not much song structure, kind of not memorable riffs, and the album kind of, how should I say this? It's not bad, it's just that the songs don't congeal with me. They have some, I should have said this when I talked about At War with Reality, they kind of flavor in some progressive elements here, and that kind of turns me off on some occasions, but there's some good tracks here, like the title track, A Stair Bound in Stone, and Nameless Sleep, which actually features Andy LaRocque of King Diamond, Merciful Fate, and Death fame. He does an awesome solo because it's Andy fucking LaRocque. What else do you want? Colors of the Beast, A Labyrinth of Tombs. There's some good songs here, just not a lot of standouts to me. With that being said, it's still a really good album, and I highly recommend you guys check this out. So, again, these guys tore their asses off, and eventually the whole pandemic bullshit happened, and they said, you know what, we're going to make a new album despite this. 3 years later. This new album, however, will be influenced by horror philosophers Eugene Thacker and Thomas Lingato. So, July 2nd, 2021 of last year, The Nightmare of Being. This is my number 2. I think if I would have listened to this album last year, this would probably have been maybe my number 1, but it would have been my number 2. This is a fucking awesome album. I just got done listening to this album, and in my opinion, it's the best of the modern era. I think This is at war with reality, but more stronger tracks. I love that album, but this I think is a bit better than at war with reality because holy good God, you got almost all the, like, going back to the earlier days, there's some thrash. You still get the progressive elements here, but the instrumentation, the musicianship, and overall the song structures are just a little bit stronger. Again, if I would have listened to this album, this would have been my death metal album of the year because I love Violence and Imagine by Cannibal Corpse, and Torn Arteries is a bitchin' album by Carcass. I think this is the stronger out of the three because, my God, I love almost every tracker. This is, in my opinion, this is like the best album since Slaughter to Soul, in my opinion. The opening Spectre of Extinction is an amazing song. The title track, Garden of Cyrus, which is kind of spoken word, but you also have some saxophone saxophone play, which would normally turn me off, but honestly, it really adds the flame and char, or the flavor and charm to this song. A Paradox, Touched by the White Hands of Death, Cult of Salvation, Cosmic Pessimism. Just amazing song. I really like the spoken word and that stuff. And the Abstract Throne is absolutely amazing. This is top to bottom a killer album. I really wish I would have listened to it last year, but then again, I really wasn't starting to get into death metal until actually last year. So, yeah, absolutely love this album. And to this day, they are still touring. So, if you guys ever have a chance to go on tour, buy their merch, buy their albums, and rock out to some awesome melodic death metal. So, that concludes this melodic death metal adventure of At the Gates, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What do I have next? Well, oh boy. The next band I've been wanting to tackle ever since I did their latest album, and I think now is an appropriate time to talk about it. I can't wait to get the hate mail for this one, folks, because we're going to up the irons with the almighty Maiden. Iron Maiden. Oh, Christ. I cannot wait for the fanboys to shit on me for my opinions. Whew. This is going to be fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Join the herd. I'll talk to you guys next video. Peace out.